Hi everyone, Armored Pants here, and I have a brand new video for you. This is a video looking at the AT-2, the British tank destroyer. We're going to look at the line all the way up to the Death Star. But before our main feature presentation, we're going to have a small commercial break, and then we'll be right back to you. Hello there. Here at Armored Pants Incorporated, your childhood dreams are important to us. And we know that while some boys may have been dreaming of fast cars, fancy liquor, and even faster and fancier women, you were going a different direction. You, sir, were dreaming of being a farmer. It's a slow, ponderous, but honest life. And of course, you have the added benefit of driving something slow, ponderous, and reliable like a tractor. And if that's your boyhood dream, then we've got good news for you. Cause step right on over here, and we're going to show you the AT Tank Destroyer line. It's everything a boy like you could want. So get up off that porch, put down that leggedy hell firearm, and stop dreaming about dating that gorgeous cousin of yours, and step right over here to Wargaming World of Tank Blitz, where we are going to take you on a journey that's going to be boring as fucking hell, but it is 100% boyhood dream aligned. And welcome back, and thanks for your patience during that little commercial. So this is a painfully slow TD line. It's like glacial slow. I mean, if you wanted to witness the end of the Ice Age, I guess it felt something like this. But nonetheless, we will have a look at the tech spec, and we'll do that using blitzhanger.com. And I guess we're going to talk about the mobility of this tank quite a bit. But before that, let's have a look at the setup. So in provisions, I would run standard fuel and T, max out the rate of fire, etc. And the rate of fire is very important in this tank. And speaking of rate of fire, if we have a look at the gun, I would use gun rammer, supercharge, and refined gun on this tank. It has good pen numbers, so you can run gun rammer rather than calibrated shells. In terms of the gun itself, well, it has a 6-pounder. Now, if you are not living in Napoleonic times, you're probably wondering what the fuck is that? Well, it's a 57mm gun for those of us living in the 21st century. With that 6-pounder, you get 110mm of pen with AP, 180mm with APCR, and 15 of HE. You're not going to fire much HE, but good pen numbers even if you're just running gun rammer. Muzzle velocity is 1160 meters per second, 1160, which is actually really good for tier 5, and that gives it very good gun handling, and you're going to see this in action in the game. The rate of fire is just awesome. It's troll, 3.4 second reload, doing 90 plus damage, 20 seconds basically. You can take out almost all tier 4 and some tier 5 tanks. I mean, it's just incredible. Gun depression is 7 degrees, 13 in elevation, so it has decent gun alignment. It's not great, not bad, it's just decent. Now, in terms of its speed, it does 25 kilometers top speed, 10 in reverse, but I mean, you're very rarely going to ever hit that top speed because the power to weight ratio is just awful. It sucks. It both sucks and blows. Traverse sucks as well. I mean, this thing just doesn't move. You could literally get out and fucking walk and it'd be faster than this thing. It's just so, and by the way, this is a feature of all of the tanks in this line. And what does this mean in terms of play? Well, it means you have limited map engagement, right? Because you can't get around the map. So some games are going to just pass you by. I mean, if you have good med players in your team and they piss off in the opposite direction to you and they can take out all the reds before you've even got a chance for a shot. So you're going to have limited map engagement. So therefore you need to think about what you're going to do at the start. You need to check the setup and decide where you're going to go, because that will determine what sort of game you have. So be very aware of that. In terms of the armor, you just saw the armor there, right? That's one of the things of this tank. The armor is troll. I mean, it's almost impossible to pen front on. Also, it has that spaced armor at the side. It even has armor on the back of the turret. It's like a rock monster. It doesn't really have any vulnerable parts, especially if you're top tier. But you can see, even when you're up tiered here, even front on, it's almost impossible to pen. It just is a rolling, slow wall of death coming towards you. You can't get out of its way. The rate of fire is awesome, and you can't pen it. It's really only vulnerable actually when you get behind it. And it reminds me kind of a documentary I saw once where a leopard in Africa was trying to kill a water buffalo, and the leopard obviously is fast moving, smaller, doesn't have like the armor, let's say, that the water buffalo has. But once he got behind and then on top of it, he was able to kill it. And in this instance, you're the buffalo, right? You need to stop tanks, by the way, particularly a leopard, which is in tier 5, getting in behind you. And therefore a key skill that you need to learn in this tank is tracking the enemy. So what do we mean by tracking the enemy? Well, we mean by shooting them so you take out their tracks so that they can't move. So if you have something fast moving, particularly a Leo coming towards you, you need to track it. Then you need to shoot it again into the same spot. Make sure he uses up his repair kits. And you can do this by firing into the drive wheel, which is on the bottom right, bottom left of the tank. And then once you've used up his repair kits and you keep hitting the same spot, then you've perma-tracked him, keep him in place until you can use your rate of fire to clear him off. If you and it doesn't matter if you fire the first shot and you don't do any damage. The important thing is to stop him. You need to stop him moving in behind you, because then you're going to be dead. But if you can track him, keep pinning him in place, then you use that rate of fire, you'll just take him out in 15-20 seconds. Even if he's on full hit points, you're going to take him out very quickly. So just that's a key skill you need for this tank. And if you look at other players, like one of the first players I ever saw talk about perma-tracking was Meadsy. He's brilliant at this. If you are new to the game, if you're watching this, you're just you're relatively new to the game, not so experienced, check out his videos. He's a phenomenal player at this game. But this perma tracking is key skill in this tank, because you don't have the mobility, you can't get away. But as long as you keep the fast moving, more lightly armored tanks in front of you, then you have a great chance of winning with this tank. But if they get in behind you, it's probably game over. So just bear that in mind as a key skill. Now this is kind of a typical engagement here with this tank, pushing on, getting bounces and just penning the enemy. I'm going to stop this here, because if you look, I've done more block damage than actual damage, and that's a typical sort of scenario in this tank. The other good thing about the rate of fire is that it allows you to do active movements in the so you saw me tracking him there, right? So you can afford to take shots on spec. You can afford to waste some shots, let's say, or even if you're not certain they're going to pen, you can afford to take them, because you've got a massive ammo rack. You're not going to run out of ammunition, and you've got such fast reload that you can just afford to fire shots on spec, like I did there. Right? I didn't know if I was going to hit him or not, but just fire one into him anyway, because you're just reloaded almost instantaneously anyway. So this is a great thing you can do with this tank. You can fire shots on spec. Now I want to pause it here for those of you who are not so experienced. This is about map and game awareness. So in this scenario here, I can see tanks are moving to the left and in front of me, right? So I'm aware of that, and we're going to and this is going to be important later on, because this VK is going to move down. So basically it's about looking at the mini map occasionally, but also understanding where the enemy tanks are and how they might move. So just a key point, it's not just about firing shots. This game is also about being aware of where the reds are, and that will make you a better player. Now I'm going to slow this down here, because we can have a look again at that gun handling. Really small target into the turret of the Excelsior, which is relatively well armored for a tier 5. Not a problem for this with APCR, just go straight through. Those pen numbers are great. And then another one into the DW. You can see the rate of fire is just excellent. And now this is exactly what I spoke about the map awareness. I'm going to pause it here for a second again. So I now have seen that the VK has moved. He's moving down. And now I have a decision to make. I can stay where I am. I've got a great position. The enemy can't really pen me. I'm putting in shots, right? Very good. But I know the VK is moving. If he comes in behind me, I'm in trouble. So I decide to alter my position, albeit very slowly, because this is a very slow moving tank. But when you have a slow moving tank, as this is, and this is ponderously glacial slow, you need to make those decisions earlier, because you don't have time to react, right? You can see there max roll. I'm firing APCR to start. Now I've switched to AP. You can see no problem penning him, and the VK, by the way, is quite a heavily armored tank, by the way, front on, and you can see this tank, it's no problem. You can see just again how slow and ponderous this tank is. I'm going to move up here across the top of the ridge to try to engage the Excelsior. You can see just how slow it is. Actually, do you know what? As a British tank, you could probably get out and make a fucking cup of tea before you actually get to engage the enemy. Just pop the kettle on, tea bags in, pour the water, put in the sugar, just added the milk, and now I'm back in the tank and I can put some shots into the Excelsior. It's very, very slow moving. This AT line, right, and we're going to go up all the way through it, the AT8, AT7, AT15, the Tortoise, and we've already done the Death Star review. It's not the most dynamic, it's not the most fun. It, of course, has some satisfying moments because bouncing shots, rolling towards the enemy and just pummeling them with this rate of fire is good fun and satisfying. But I mean, if you're interested in getting around the map, spotting, scouting, but really also playing all over the map, this tank line is not going to do that, right? That's very much a support tank. You can also go front line, of course, if the Reds are there in front of you. But you need to be aware when you're playing this tank and going up through this line that some games are just going to pass you by. Because you don't have the speed or the mobility to get around the map. So you can see I've played almost this entire game in maybe a small pocket of 20% of the map. Again, this gun alignment and the good gun handling you see there, and really, really nice shot on the scavenger when he's moving away. And the good gun system on this is going to deliver time and time again for you. You don't have to worry about that. The armor is going to give you bounces. You saw there I got a bounce off the side. I wasn't even playing for, it wasn't even front on. It is you are going to really enjoy playing this tank. It's really good, and it's in that respect. But its downside is the lack of mobility. You can see it's so ponderously slow. Now you might be saying, well, Armoured, wouldn't it be better than if I used engine accelerator? Well, my thoughts on that are this. It's like buying a one-legged man a really expensive pair of running shoes. In theory, he should be faster, but in reality, it's going to make fuck all difference. And that's the same with this engine accelerator. So I would just use 2 repair kits and adrenaline. By the way, when you drop adrenaline in this thing, it's savage. I mean, you're talking about 3-second reload for 15 seconds. It's just a pummel machine. A good example there of this tank in action, a good example of, in play, its strengths, bouncing shots, putting in damage, the good gun system, all of its key strengths. But its weakness is the mobility, and you need to be aware of that. And when you're playing against good players, they are going to get in behind you where you're vulnerable. If a Leo or something like that gets in behind you, it's game over. You cannot get away from him. You can't outmaneuver him, and he's just going to sit beside you, behind you, and kill you. And that goes for any fast-moving tank. If it gets in behind you. Therefore, the key skill is that tracking. You need to be able to track the enemy if they're coming towards you at speed. So let's have a recap of the key points of this British tank destroyer. So it's a slow-moving wall of death, basically like a Roman legion just coming towards you. Just a stab, kill, stab, kill. It's a binary tank in that it's very hit or miss. In that, as I said, games can pass you by. If there's a lot of fast movers on the team, you may not even get to fire a shot. But the armor is troll. I mean, it bounces like a North Korean chick. I mean, it's just gonna bounce shots all day long. The rate of fire is also troll. As we said, 20 seconds you can take out almost every tier 4 tank and some tier 5 tanks. The gun system is very good. It's accurate, good pen, it's reliable. You saw that in the game. Some of the shots there, really, really good. But its mobility is non-existent. Basically, it moves like a fucking glacier, and therefore you have limited map engagement. So you need to choose your opening carefully. Very much like chess, your opening gambit is going to be key in this. You need to look at the setup. You need to see what is likely to unfold in terms of how many fast movers they are, how they're going to move around the map, etc. Because if you move down the wrong channel at the start of this start of a game, there's a very good chance that you won't engage the enemy at all. Another key skill is you need to track your enemies, especially fast movers like a Leo. Remember, you're the buffalo and he's the leopard, quite literally. He's hunting you. You need to stop him getting in behind you, because then you're going to die. But as long as you keep your horns, your armor front onto him, you're going to have success. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. And I guess now all that remains for me to say is pants off.